Lily returned from Paris with her heart light and her spirit glowing, unaware that the moment her feet touched home soil, her life was about to change forever. Paris had been her escape, her moment of freedom, a place where she could walk through cobblestone streets, drink wine under the shimmering lights of the Eiffel Tower, and feel just for a short while like she was living in a fairy tale. But fairy tales, as we all know, have two endings, one that leaves you enchanted and one that leaves you broken. For Lily, the latter was waiting. As her car pulled into her estate, the cold silence of her mansion contrasted heavily with the warmth of Paris. The emptiness wrapped around her like a blanket, reminding her of what was missing: companionship, love, a soul who cared for her beyond the luxury she had built. That night, as she sat alone with a glass of champagne, her phone buzzed. A simple message, seemingly innocent. "Welcome back. Paris must have been beautiful, but not as beautiful as you." Those words were like a spark to dry wood. Her heart, still vulnerable, still craving connection, leaned into them without hesitation. She didn't know then that this was the first move in a dangerous game, a game where she was not the player, but the prize. And as her eyes lit up reading the message, destiny smirked in the shadows, because the man who sent it was not a stranger by chance. He was a carefully planted seed, waiting to bloom into destruction. His name was Daniel, or at least that was the name he gave her. From their very first conversation, Lily felt as though she had known him all her life. He was charming, but not overwhelming, attentive, but never intrusive. He knew when to make her laugh, when to listen, when to send flowers, and when to simply say goodnight. It was as if he had read the script of her heart and was playing his role flawlessly. Soon, coffee dates turned into dinners, and dinners turned into long drives under the city lights. Every time she was with him, Paris seemed like a distant memory compared to the magic Daniel created effortlessly. What Lily couldn't see, however, was the team behind him, the men feeding him details about her favorite wine, her preferred flowers, the books she quoted when she felt vulnerable. To her, it was destiny. To them, it was business. And business was good, because Lily was not just any woman. She was a wealthy woman, a target worth millions. Daniel was no ordinary suitor. He was a professional conman, hired and trained to weave his way into her soul. Still, to Lily, his presence felt like the universe had finally answered her loneliness. She didn't realize that the universe she thought had aligned was nothing more than a trap, a performance where she was the unsuspecting audience to her own downfall. As weeks turned into months, Lily's world began to orbit entirely around Daniel. He was her morning call, her evening comfort, the face she longed to see after exhausting business meetings. He seemed to complete her, filling the empty spaces she had carried silently for years. Friends noticed the shift in her. She laughed more, dressed softer, and spoke of the future with a new kind of hope. Yet, there were warning signs, moments she chose to ignore. Sometimes his stories didn't align. Sometimes he vanished for days, offering vague excuses about business or family emergencies. But every doubt she carried was drowned by the warmth of his embrace, by the promises he whispered when the lights were low and the world was quiet. Slowly, Daniel began to introduce money into their conversations, not directly but subtly. Investments, opportunities, small favors that seemed harmless at first. To Lily, helping him was a natural expression of love. To Daniel, it was step two in a carefully orchestrated scam, and the more she gave, the deeper she fell, until she could no longer tell where her heart ended and his lies began. What she didn't know was that her generosity wasn't filling the heart of a man who loved her. It was lining the pockets of men who were waiting to bleed her dry. But the truth has a way of revealing itself, no matter how well hidden. It started with whispers from her closest friend, a woman who had watched Daniel with cautious eyes from the beginning. "Something about him doesn't feel right," she warned. Lily brushed it off, convinced that her friend simply couldn't understand what it meant to find true love after years of emptiness. Then came the phone call, the one Lily wasn't supposed to hear. Late one night, as Daniel showered, his phone lit up. A name flashed across the screen, one she didn't recognize. Curiosity turned to dread when she answered and heard a voice say, "Is she ready? Has she given you access yet?" Her blood ran cold. The words pierced through her illusions, ripping the veil of love she had so tightly wrapped around her heart. But even in that moment, denial fought hard. Could it be a misunderstanding? Was she overthinking? The more she tried to convince herself, the more reality slapped her awake. Documents had gone missing, accounts had irregularities, and Daniel, the man who claimed to love her, had excuses that no longer sounded convincing. It was in that moment that Lily realized she wasn't in love. She was in danger, and the very man she thought would protect her was the one holding the knife behind her back. Lily was not a woman to crumble under betrayal. She had built empires, survived storms, and risen from ashes before this was no different. Once the truth burned through her veins, her pain transformed into rage, and rage into strategy. She began playing along, smiling, laughing, pretending as though she hadn't heard the call, as though she still believed in every word Daniel fed her. But secretly, she was gathering evidence, piecing together the puzzle of the scam, and preparing to strike. The final confrontation was explosive. Daniel, thinking he had succeeded, was blindsided when he found Lily waiting with not tears, but proof. Police sirens wailed in the distance as she handed over files, recordings, and financial trails that exposed not only him, but the entire network behind him. His face, once charming and full of confidence, now twisted in shock and fear. Lily didn't scream. She didn't beg. She simply looked him in the eye and said, "You almost had me. Almost." And in that moment, Daniel realized he hadn't just lost the money, he had lost control. The one thing every con man needs to survive. For Lily, the pain remained, but so did her power. She walked away scarred, but stronger, her heart no longer naive, her trust no longer free. And to you, my dear viewers, let this story serve as a warning. Love can be beautiful, but it can also be deadly when built on lies. If you've been captivated by this tale, please subscribe to this channel. Your support helps us keep bringing you stories that don't just entertain, they open your eyes to the hidden dangers of a world where even love can be weaponized. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in my next video.